Thank you for having us. Hey, everybody.
Yeah.
Howdy. Hello, Oklahoma.
Is this anybody's first time here in
Oklahoma?
Yeah.
No,
So
I've
first time?
been a few times.
First time.
First time.
Wow. Nice. In the
What's
state
your
or
least
just in
favorite
an
part? No, I'm
event?
kidding.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, so like anywhere in the state. So so let me ask you, when you go to a new town, a new state, traveling, how much do you get a chance to explore? Or is it airport, hotel, convention center, hotel, airports, like four walls and no windows? Right now we got the storm shutters down in case there's a tornado.
I have a very strict regiment of the first thing I do is look for a coffee shop. So I'm usually up at like 6 or 7 in the morning
All right.
because I do like to have like the few hours that I can to explore a city.
Right.
And usually coffee shops are the only thing open.
Right.
So it's like the perfect, and I'm a junkie for coffee, so it's a win-win.
So were you able to find someplace?
I was. There's an amazing place called Clarity Coffee that's over by the Botanical Gardens. That is absolutely, if you like good coffee, really good.
Do we
Really,
have any
really
other
good.
recommendations for coffee around here? No?
Well, mine wins then.
Right? Yeah, I think, it really is. Like, for me, it is pretty much like you come in and then you're here. But I do try to get out, like, if I have time. Like, but it's usually at night, Really, it has to be, we're going to a speakeasy or we're going
Yeah,
to
or a
something
restaurant.
late.
Yeah.
Rather than, I really wish we had more time during the day to see, like, the town, like, while the lights are on, But, it is what it is. But
Every now and then, have you had like the rare occasion where you'll get like a day that you fly in early and
Yes.
then you can go see
Yes.
a museum or something, but
I
it's
try
rare.
To do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but usually we're not coming in. It's usually like here and then, immediately to the con. Sometimes we come straight into the con
Yeah.
floor
Right.
from the
You get picked up
airport.
from the airport.
Yeah.
That's right. Roger, you ever get a chance to?
Oh, not much anymore. Usually my wife travels with me, and we used to have more time to go around, see a few things in the city, but nowadays it's pretty much just you get in, and we're here for you.
So, the three of you clearly have way different career trajectories. And even now, from when you guys first began, even 5 years ago, the industry has changed in how to get into the entertainment, how to get into voiceover, stage, television. Let's talk about some of your origin stories. Michelle, how did you get into the crazy voice actor role?
What's interesting is that when I was younger, I was always performing arts. I did all of it. I was heavily music, really, but I also did a lot of theater. And when I was going into college, I really wanted to do the music stuff. It was still more of the music stuff, but when you're in this career, I think you just sort of go which way it seems that the industry wants you to go. So, as far as work-wise, I was getting a lot more acting stuff than I was getting the music stuff. So that's sort of how that warped into now I'm so heavily focused on the acting side of things. But I've been performing my whole life, so I'm still very happy to do it. I do love acting. But yeah, for me, I think it kind of warped that way. I kind of ended up with, especially with the voiceover stuff in particular, because when I was younger, I did do on camera and theater and everything else, which I don't really have the energy to do anymore. If you've ever tried doing any of those jobs, it's a lot harder on your, exactly, yeah, you're there all day and all night, and they can be pretty rough, but the voiceover, I love the voiceover stuff because it is a lot easier on your body, and I'm glad that that's kind of the thing that I ended up doing because I think it worked out well for me in my life. So.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of folks in the voiceover business, voice actors, say that they feel, as you mentioned, theater really helped as a starting point for a career, because you're performing for the people in the back, so like you're using more of your voice.
Exactly.
Well, that's why you really learn acting by getting on a stage, because it's the audience that tells you what works and what doesn't. You can't learn to be an actor in isolation. And that's the way you do it. Get in front of a live audience. You are alive, aren't you? For now, anyway. And that's where you learn. I also used to like to, I would volunteer and read to second grade class in the place where I used to live. And kids are the best audience in the world because they're absolutely honest. They'll tell you what works and what doesn't.
So is that how you got started, or how did you get started into the entertainment?
Well, I began doing puppetry. And from doing puppetry, I then did skits and plays with my friends. And you can go away now. Oh, all right, thank you. Did skits and plays with my friends in school, and then I studied seriously to be an actor.
Ryan, how did you get involved in this crazy industry?
Kind of a similar and different thing. It's a ramshackle scenario for me, for sure. I also was a really obsessive film and theater nerd. I have Charlie Chaplin tattooed on my arm because my parents were like just big film lovers, and they showed me everything. Before I even knew how to walk, I was watching this stuff. And I did all my school plays. I made movies with friends. We would, write scripts and, dress up and run to the woods and film a war movie or whatever. We were just nuts. And at the same time, growing up in the 90s, being part Arab, I also was like subconsciously aware of the fact that anybody who kind of looked like me only got to play like terrorists in the movies. It's true. So I never actually thought that I'd have a chance to like be an actor. So at the same time, at like 10 years old, I discovered guitar. And I started a band with some of my friends, and I like basically decided that was going to be my life. So for all of my teens and my 20s and everything, I just focused on that, writing songs and making records and playing shows and going on tour and like working 2 jobs at a time, because none of that actually makes you money. But we did it for so long, and then I moved from New York to Los Angeles, and the band was doing our thing there, and then we were just hemorrhaging money, just struggling so much, and these were my best friends. So one day we had our breakup dinner, which is like the most, heartbreaking thing, especially after it being the majority of our lives. And the same week that we broke up, the job that I was working laid off my entire department. So I was on unemployment. I was dead broke. I was already like way past broke. And so the band breaks up, and my bandmates were like, "What are you gonna do?" And instantly my body just was like, "Oh, here's what we're gonna do." And I was like, "I think I'm supposed to be acting." And they were like, "Yeah, no shit. But what are you gonna do for money?" And I was like, "I don't know, but I don't wanna work normal jobs anymore." And I started just like taking the money I barely had and putting it back into acting classes, and was doing extra work, anything I could to just get on set, do anything. And, definitely wasn't eating as much as I probably should have been. And weirdly, voiceover found me through the process of doing on-camera stuff, and it just kind of weirdly aligned. And all of my years of being in recording studios as a singer, mixed with all of the experience of acting, kind of just like found this home. So I got very lucky.
It seems like as you both you all three really mentioned it, like it found you. And I think that's very important because it allows you to, as long as you understand that it finds you, that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, and you can put everything into it.
I think, though, it's a weird process also. I mean, I don't want to speak for all of us, but I think there's a letting go of what the idea of what you think you're supposed to do all the time. I love the quote, "Life is what happens when you're busy making other plans." And, we can have aspirations in certain directions that can be these like pinpoints, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we will land those exact points. It doesn't mean that we won't end up in the spectrum of that space. And I know when I was younger, I think I would have been a lot more closed off to taking some avenues creatively that I did as I got older, which led me to finding a career and good fortune and freedom in art. And I think we can get in our own way sometimes with like an idea of what we're supposed to be or do, instead of also being open to the universe, like having paths for us and just kind of testing them out and jumping off the diving board every now and then.
Rochelle, you have your own studio, right?
I do.
Right. So how has that and directing helped your own career, acting wise? Like, do you see some mistakes that you might have been making and try to correct those, or do you use your personal experiences to help direct others?
I think what is so valuable in being able to do a lot of different jobs in this space is that you get to see how everybody works. And people work so differently. It's very interesting. So I feel like over the years I've sort of learned different approaches to different things, and because effectively what we're having to find all of the time is solutions to what we're doing, right? Like that's what we're doing. We're like, does this work? Does this work? And is it better if we do it this way? Is it if we do it that way? It's a lot of experimentation, and I feel like when I get to see hundreds of actors and see how they work, I do feel like I've definitely picked up different things, and in that way too, like especially if I'm directing some people that are a bit newer, I can help them with different techniques that I've seen various people do and go, well, try this and see if that helps you a little bit better with the performance and things like that. So I think it's definitely helpful. I think that the more you get to experience people like in this job, that the more you get to pick up and learn.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's a sensitive job, especially directing.
You should.
Directing is a really sensitive job too, because you do have to work with not that I direct, but you have to work with so many different personalities and energies and temperaments, and find a way to make them feel seen and comfortable, and also push them if you need to. And it's like everyone has like a different code you have to unlock. It's really challenging. It's very impressive.
And to piggyback on that, you're in a booth, microphone here. What do you do to help build that chemistry between you and castmates that you literally never see?
Well, as a director, oh my God, right.
It wasn't that bad.
It's a little bad. It's dripping in. It's going there. We need a napkin up here. Well, Ryan's on the floor. Everything's fine.
We're getting a lot more intimate today.
But when you're directing somebody, especially for the first time, one of the things you need in that booth is trust. And you have to kind of build that kind of quickly because, it's a new person. Like I said, everybody works very differently. You have to figure them out like really fast and go, okay, like this is the verbiage I need to use with them. And also, this is the way I need to treat them for them to feel comfortable with me. Because really, like you said, like you have to keep them comfortable for them to be able to give their best performance. Because once they don't feel comfortable, or if they don't trust you,
They start
then
spilling their tea all over the couch.
They becomes a mess. So, yeah, and it can be really isolated with like figuring out your castmates. Like I know Ryan, but I mean, I haven't like really directly worked with him. You know what I mean? Like
I'm gonna be a wild card whenever that happens. I'm not giving you any clues.
But like we know each other, and I feel like these events help a lot.
Totally,
Like
yeah.
to get to know like your fellow cast members.
So you both are in solo landing.
Leveling.
Or solo leveling, sorry. Solo leveling. How often have you, the three of you, done shows with somebody who you first meet at a convention?
Oh.
Probably all the time.
A
to be
lot,
honest.
yeah.
Like, oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
It's totally not my fault at all.
I feel like
No, this dude like totally ran up and just spilled my tea everywhere, and he was like, "Gotcha, sucker!" And I was like, "No."
write it right down.
Thank you so much. Yes, absolutely. You are so sweet. Thank you. Do you guys prefer me on the couch or on?
You look pretty
I
comfortable.
mean, you're already there.
I was gonna get into
Don't fall.
different positions as we go, so you know.
So anyway, we were talking about meeting castmates for the very first time at conventions.
Yeah, I mean, I live in Los Angeles. A lot of my castmates, especially in Chainsaw, are in Dallas. But I've gotten to know them mostly through cons. I met Sarah, who plays Power, at a convention like a year before we got cast in the show, and we immediately had that like idiot sibling Denji Power dynamic. And so when we got cast, it was like, oh, this is perfect. We're gonna be fine. And like I knew she'd have my back, and vice versa. Jason Marnoko, who plays Katana Man in that, he lives in Los Angeles. I've known that dude for like 4 years, and we just met 2 weeks ago. So like it's crazy how, because sometimes also when you're home, you know, you're also you're not doing the sessions together, so you're like passing ships in the night, and then you're maybe in different states on the weekends, and it's kind of a crapshoot on who you're gonna see and when, but there's this really beautiful, weird community of like, you know, when we do meet at these things, we're kind of like circus folk, you know, it's like, there's a comfort that we know we can just be real with each other immediately. And you do get a good sense of everyone's personality right away.
Roger, so you chuckling about that. You agree with the circus folk analogy?
Oh, yeah.
We're totally carnies.
I actually say that to friends when we're leaving the cons. I mean, the people, other friends said, see you around the circus. See you on the fun way.
And it's honestly, I mean, the cool thing for us too is it's not just other actors. I mean, we get to know the people who work these shows, the back of house, the driver. Like, it's a real family, and there's so many wonderful people. And obviously, coming to meet you guys, it's like, it's an extraordinary privilege. Like, none of us, I can guarantee you, regardless of loving doing our work and hoping to get to cool, you know, do cool projects, none of us were like, and then we'll be doing conventions. Like, this wasn't part of the plan. This is just an incredible, incredible honor.
You mentioned cool projects, so I'm going to ask you, what has been the project that you have done that surprises the most people when they realize, oh, that was you? Because I'm going to tell you, when I was doing my research, Roger, were you the Mr. Mucus from the commercials?
You betcha!
That's amazing.
Welcome to the
incredible.
Coffee Cabana.
Yes.
Is that one that people are surprised about? Or like what other roles that you have done are people surprised that it was you?
I don't know. I mean, a lot of people are confused by the fact that I do Ghostface and Mojo. They go, I had no idea. Good. But I don't know. I've done a lot of different things. I've done a lot of special effects stuff too, like animals and creatures, and I'm the checker playing chicken in The Sims. I did a lot of work on The Sims. I mean, before they established Simlish, they were looking for people who could
We have to censor out all of that on video, by the way. What he just said was real nasty. That was
Ryan, Michelle, what roles surprise people that when they learn that you've done them?
I play a character named Loki on Record of Ragnarok. That usually surprises people a bit. The one that shocks people that like they'd have to look for it, but I put it on the end of a visual reel recently just for a goof, is there was a music video made by Mattel for Barbie, and Ken has a whole rap section. It's your boy. And it's as insane as it sounds.
What I'm looking at
Look up "Summertime Fun" and you'll be very confused.
That's amazing. Oh my God. I want to say the one that people really don't recognize me for at all is I'm in Spy Family, and I play Ewan. And he's one of the snotty little like lackeys of Damien. He goes, "You're in for sure." And people don't obviously recognize me for that at all, because that's how he talks. And that's probably the one that people are just like, "That's you? That's so weird." Because so many of my characters are like deeper voiced women. So when it comes to something like a little kid like that, like people really.
How did that happen then? Was it just Chris is directing that?
Chris George? Yeah.
So did he just like because of your personality, something know like, oh, you can come
Some
and do that?
people
or
know
something?
that
Yeah.
I can do
Yeah.
that stuff. So like yeah.
That goes to what you were asking before, even of like, because you don't always. Sometimes you get like typecast to a certain degree by certain people, and then sometimes people either after working with you or as they get to know you, they're like, oh, you can also do this other totally weird thing, and then when that opportunity finally shows up, and you get to do it, it's so fun, you know.
Yeah, it's just because I don't book those very
Yeah,
often, so
yeah.
it's really fun when I do get to do something outside the box.
Hell yeah.
So as I mentioned, so we do have a microphone right there. If you have any questions, please feel free to line up. What's going to happen is we're going to get to like 5 minutes left, and then like 10 people are going to hit to the line. So the earlier you hit the microphone, the better. But I'm going to ask you, in doing conventions like GalaxyCon and even studios or doing live action, has there been any moments where either somebody was at a table next to you, you saw them in the green room, and you kind of fanboyed out a little bit? Maybe you couldn't speak, or maybe you said a little bit too much.
Spilled my diary. The first year I started doing conventions, I was sitting down in the green room. It was like a Sunday at the end of the weekend, and it was me and my handler. It was like an empty table, and it's kind of like high school cafeteria kind of back there sometimes. And so, I'm just sitting there, just like kind of zoning out eating, and this gentleman comes up and he's like, "Can we sit down here?" And I'm like, "Yeah, of course." And suddenly Sam Raimi and his brother come and sit down. And growing up on the Evil Dead movies and his Spider-Man movies were like that, I was the age for those movies. So I like completely freeze up, and I don't like. I'm normally totally chill, and like I just was not prepared for it. And he was so incredibly sweet, and I just started talking. We just talked about like life stuff, and about halfway through our conversation, I had to be like, "I'm sorry, I just need to like address how incredibly surreal this is for me and kind of process it." And he was very kind about it. But that was probably the most that I like really lost it.
I don't know. Actually, David Sobolov, who plays Kaido in
brother.
One Piece, and I see him often, and I didn't realize he was so many Transformers, and I loved Transformers.
I had his toy.
growing up. I know, and I didn't realize it was until we were doing like a store signing, like it was smaller, so it was just kind of like us and one other person. And I realized like while we were signing that he was like the voice of like Shockwave,
Yeah.
and I was like, wait a second.
David's the reason
Voice
I'm
of
here in a
Shockwave.
lot of ways.
Oh really?
I did a short film that he directed. It was an on-camera film, and then we finished it, and he was like, "Do you do voiceover? You're good at this." And I was like, "Well, I don't have a demo, and like, you need to do that." And he's like, "I'll produce that shit for you. Like, I got you, dude." And so I made my
so
demo
nice.
with him.
He was a nice.
Yeah, he's like my brother. He changed my life. I mean, he really is that gave me the ammunition to send stuff out and start working. So, and I remember he actually called me when he got the audition for Kaido because he hadn't done anime in so long. And at that point, I had been doing all this stuff, and he was like, "I got this audition. Do you think like it would be a good fit?" And I was like, "David, if you don't read for this, I will be so mad at you. Like you have to."
Yeah, he's so great. But
He's
honestly, like also too, I would not have seen it in the cards that I would be doing a panel with Mojo Jojo either. So
Never, yeah.
I mean, it's pretty incredible to
Yeah.
be honest. So I mean, we get to meet really cool people all the time, and so that's really
Yeah,
awesome.
I love it. That's why I love doing I'm a fan myself, so I see a lot of people whose work I admire, and it's great. If you get a minute, you can come over and say, "I really admire your work." "Oh, thank you." Okay.
Yeah.
But
It's just a neat thing.
I remember the first convention I ever did. I met an actor whose work I admired greatly and who would become a friend, the late, great Tony Todd,
Oh yeah.
if you know Tony. And I walked over to his table and said, "I love your work so much, but particularly in 84 Charing Cross Road, because, you know, he has one scene in that movie with Anne Bancroft, and he's incredible, but nobody picks him out
deep
for
cut,
that
yeah.
movie. And he was just, that was the first movie I ever did. Platoon came out after that, but actually, Platoon came out first, but I did it after that. But I love doing that movie. How are you doing? Blah, 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 blah. And sometimes you get to make new friends. But I'm still a fan.
Hello, what's your name?
Hi, my name is Ann.
Hi, Anne.
My question is, what advice would you have for someone who lives in small town Kansas to get into voice acting?
I mean, well, I think like we were talking about our origin stories earlier, like all of us basically had that sort of start of like when we were younger, we got involved in different types of theater and performance, right? So I think that the very starting point is to, even if you are in a smaller town, a smaller area, like getting involved in your local community theater stuff, programs that you have local to you to start getting into the art form, right?
Absolutely. And then, you know, if you're already doing that kind of stuff, if you're already taking classes or in community theater, I mean, the other thing is, in this case, the internet is, you know, the ultimate tool in your friend. So if you can find a way to, you know, I mean, there are plenty of teachers and people who are teaching voiceover-related classes online. There are plenty of people producing demos that you can find online, and then once you get something like that made, you have something that you can send out to, you know, a lot of people doing independent projects all over social media and stuff. It's a great way to, like, get yourself out into the community. But definitely got to put the training first, because you want to be able to, you know, yeah, you learn how to color outside the lines by learning how to color inside the lines first.
I always point people towards D. Bradley Baker's site.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
I want to be a voiceactor.com, because he deals with so many aspects
Yes.
of what it takes, from agents, demos, equipment, technique, and so forth. The mic I use in my home recording, I got off of his website, so.
Yeah, it's an incredible database.
Hi, what's your name?
My name's Evander, aspiring
Evander.
voice actor. Whether it be video games, commercials, or animated work like cartoons, how many different voices do you think you should have available to whoever is trying to hire you?
It's not about the voice. It is not about the voice. There are some, like, you know, I put a lot of different colors and I do effects and animals and different things, but there are some actors like the incredible John Benjamin, H. John Benjamin. How many of you have seen Bob's Burgers? Yeah. And how many of you have seen Archer? Yeah. He is both Sterling Archer and Bob, and it's the same voice, and I've seen him in a lot of other animated things, but he's so brilliant at creating character. Yep. So it's not about the voice, it's the acting. Control of technique.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's it.
Hello, what's your name?
Hi, my name is Mai. Sorry, I'm a little nervous.
Don't worry, we are too.
So, leading up to the theater work and the voice acting classes, did you start off with doing small, like, advertising work, or did you start off going straight into TV shows or movies? And if so,
I
which
did
one?
car commercials.
Car
Yeah.
commercials?
I did like regional car commercials for a while, and like news stories, and you know, it was all sorts of just stuff that's not anything like I really book now, but yeah.
That's so cool.
You know?
That's awesome. I love that. And in hindsight, it's probably even more fun to have on the resume. I weirdly, I was very lucky that I started working quickly in like games and animated stuff, and I kind of just did everything that I could find at first. I mean, I was doing live action dubbing right out the gate, like anything that was giving me an opportunity to get in there and work and learn and grow. I was like, yes, please. You know, I mean, for a while, even in the beginning, I was doing, you know, a lot of video games, but like it was all, you know, NPCs. It was all just like ancillary random background characters. And to me, I was like, this is the coolest thing in the world, because I get to play, you know, tons of different characters, and I'm learning this process and refining my skills so that when I then get opportunities for, potentially whatever, I will have like refined myself enough to handle it, But yeah, I kind of just like threw myself in, and I think I was lucky to show up at the right time also. But everybody's different depending on what you have to offer and your energy and the people you're interacting with and who hears you and sees you and how they hear you. It's so different,
Yeah, if you're a working actor, you got to make a living.
Yeah.
So you do what there is. But then advertisements, toys, books on tape. And now I've gone completely blank. I guess cartoons and stuff like that too, movies.
But you book what you book, so, you take the work that you're getting.
Hello, what's your name?
Hello, I am Jay.
Hi, Jay.
Can I ask you guys 2 questions? Well, 1, do you guys know what Team Fortress 2 is? And 2, have you ever watched a video down your throat?
I don't think I know either.
You don't know what Team Fortress
I know what TF2 is,
Yeah,
because
now
my
I do.
son plays it.
Oh, so it's a game?
It's a game.
Got it, okay.
But what was the second question?
Down your throat? It's a YouTube video.
I've never heard of that.
No,
one.
never heard of
Yeah,
it.
yeah, you guys should watch it.
Noted, thank you.
Yeah, it's very-
Thank you.
Thanks.
We are now informed.
Hi, my name is Alex. My question is
Alex.
for Roger. So I really love Ghostface, obviously. I really like those moments when you kind of have the normal conversation going, and then it suddenly takes like a shift in direction, and you're like, oh, it's the killer on the phone. So like, what's kind of your favorite moment or conversation that you've had on the phone with one of the victims?
Well, they're all different, but really, like that first scene in the first movie, it's all there. That was the audition, that first scene. And it was so brilliantly written, it told you everything you needed to know there. It wasn't like at the audition I heard somebody saying, my agent says they're looking for the new Freddy Krueger. You would have to be an idiot to think that would be this voice. It's got to be real. You do what you do as an actor. You read the scene, you break it down, and what does this need? What are the beats? And that voice, it's got to be very real. It's a real person, but it's got to have a little something to it, like maybe a little bit of warmth to the voice to kind of sound interesting and keep her on the phone, keep playing with her and say, oh, you're making popcorn? I only make popcorn when I'm going to watch a movie. But it's got to be able to go dark when you like scary movies? What's your favorite scary movie? So, thanks.
Hello.
My name is Elijah. My question's for everyone. If there was like any franchise, like Marvel, DC, Transformers, any... Yeah, that's a good one. Thank you. If any of those, would you like voice anyone from any of those franchises?
Yeah, like, do you have a dream project?
Yeah,
Is that what you-
basically,
yeah. So do you have a dream project?
I'd love to be a transformer.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'd do that in a heartbeat.
Hell yeah, you'd be so good in that too.
God, I'd love it.
I mean, growing up, Spider-Man was always my guy. That would be incredible, but also Nightcrawler?
That'd be so good.
The accent would be tricky, but it would be fun.
Well, for me, see if you recognize this.
Don't act so surprised, Princess. This is no mercy mission you are on. You are part of the Rebel Alliance and a traitor. Captain, take her away.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
It was so cool.
All right, last question. No pressure.
No pressure.
Hello, what's your name?
Scott,
Hi.
how do you keep, because I know these aren't done in one take, how do you keep the emotion for the scene and the voices straight when you have more than however many voices you do? How do you keep those straight? And mostly, how do you get the emotion for the scene and it's not all done in one take? Because you come back and do something again.
I think that's just something we've kind of, in training, have learned, conditioned ourselves to do, how to remember what we did and how to incorporate notes. And those are all parts of what you learn when you're studying to be an actor. And then also, through your work, that's just sort of how it goes. That's how all of it goes all the time. You get used to it. For me, a lot of physicality stuff, like as far as like when we're talking about the voice and maintaining the voice, for me, that's a lot of how I'm feeling it within my body and where that sort of sits for me. And then, of course, the emotional stuff, again, that's all part of the training. You're able to create those emotions because that's what acting is, right? So yeah, it's a skill set. It's a skill set that you have to develop over time.
And weirdly, in voiceover compared to on camera, when you're doing on camera stuff, there may be, you may do a scene and then cut, and then they have to reset, and it takes a few minutes or whatever to set up the scene again, and there's people moving stuff around. And in voiceover, you do a take, and then 10 seconds later, you can do another, take potentially. So we're also kind of trained to be like Swiss Army knives, where it's like we can kind of rapid fire reset, and go back into that space because we just have, a much shorter timeline to get a lot of this stuff done. So you do just kind of condition yourself, your brain, your body to be like, all right, this is what we're doing for the next few hours. This is the space I'm going to sit in, and that's just kind of how we're going to ride it out. And hopefully you have a really great director who can also like really help keep you where you need to be.
Yeah, and understand the scene. You got to understand the scene and the beats and know where you're going. You can change it up, try different things, but you got to know the points to hit.
Thank you.
Technique.
Thank you so much. So that is just about our time. So before we go, I'm going to ask the three of you to, if you could express what this means. You're in a booth, and there's, your show, your movie, your film doesn't come out for months. You don't get that instant reaction. You may, when it comes out, you may see it on Twitter, but obviously for something like Scream, it wasn't until years later that conventions were kind of a thing, right? So you didn't get that instant gratification that theater gives you, right? So what does it mean to you to come to these events, to be able to see your fans, to be able to hear their stories, look at them in their eyeballs and hear their words?
It's tremendous. That's what we're here for you, because we wouldn't be here if not for you. We're just, thank you. Thank all of you.
Yeah.
It's because of your interest that we have what we have.
It's an extraordinary, we love you guys. It's an extraordinary honor and privilege. I think for really any of us, I know for me for sure, film and music and art, it's medicine for me. When I'm feeling down, when I need something to be there for me, like those things have been there to, hold my heart. And if we're lucky enough to be part of things that people are connecting to, that is such a privilege and an honor. And, to get to talk to you guys and hear your stories and know about your lives and how you're connecting with it. That is, like I said before, we'd never planned for this part. So this is an extraordinary honor. And you guys really make our lives so much more, fascinating and enhanced. And I know for sure for me, and I think I could speak for everybody else, in a weird way, like, we meet you guys, and then when we go to do other stuff, you come with us. We don't just forget these interactions. Like, this is a really important, powerful thing. And you then kind of get to be a part of the work too. So thank you for caring.
Absolutely. Yeah, I have a lot of people that come up and they tell me how they were able to connect with my work and it was meaningful to them and things like that. And I always tell them how much I appreciate it, and it really does mean a lot to me. And sometimes I worry that I come off disingenuine or something with saying things like that, but it's real. I really actually do appreciate that, because like you said, this is the way that we get that audience reaction, because you don't get it when you're just recording in a booth. And so this is where that is at. And I think as we've discussed over the course of this panel, that is really meaningful, is to have that audience experience, because that's why we do it. You know, we're performing for an audience. We're not performing for, you know, a person, an engineer and a director in a booth. Like, we're performing for you, and so that's where our hearts lie.
Yeah, so thank all of you great GalaxyCon fans for hanging out with us today. So before we go, would you guys like to take like a giant selfie, a giant picture, group photo? Come up here by the stage. By the stage, not on the stage, so by the stage. We're gonna take a big group photo to commemorate this occasion.